Why do 75% of disappearances remain unsolved? It's a chilling statistic that haunts the minds of many. The thought that someone could vanish without a trace, leaving behind no clues, no evidence, and no answers, is a terrifying reality. For those left behind, the uncertainty is a never-ending nightmare. But what if the reason behind these disappearances was something far more sinister than anyone could imagine? Daniel was about to find out. He was an ordinary young man, with dreams and aspirations like anyone else. He had just landed a new job in a new city, and was excited about the fresh start. Little did he know, his life was about to take a dark and twisted turn. Daniel recently moved into a small, old apartment in a quiet part of town. The building had an eerie charm, with its creaky wooden floors and vintage architecture. It was the kind of place that seemed to have a story of its own, whispered through the walls and echoed in the hallways. It was affordable, but the previous tenant had vanished without a trace. The landlord had assured Daniel that it was just a coincidence, a tragic but unrelated event. Daniel, eager to settle in, chose to believe him. After all, what were the chances of something like that happening again? The first few nights were fine. Daniel slept soundly, undisturbed by the creaks and groans of the old building. He even started to feel at home, enjoying the peace and quiet that the apartment offered. But on the third night, Daniel felt watched. It was an unsettling sensation, as if unseen eyes were following his every move. He tried to shake it off, convincing himself that it was just his imagination playing tricks on him. He brushed it off as nerves. After all, moving to a new place could be stressful, and it was normal to feel a bit on edge. He told himself that he just needed to relax and get used to his new surroundings. Then came the whispers. They started as faint murmurs, barely audible over the hum of the city outside. At first, Daniel thought it was just the wind or the old pipes in the building. Late at night, faint murmurs filled the room. They seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once, echoing off the walls and seeping into his mind. The whispers were unintelligible, a jumble of sounds that made no sense but sent chills down his spine. They were unintelligible but chilling. Each night the whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if they were trying to communicate something important, something urgent. Daniel found himself straining to understand, but the more he listened, the more confused and frightened he became. One freezing night he woke up to louder whispers and saw it, a shadow in the corner. It wasn't just a trick of the light or a figment of his imagination. The shadow had form, a twisted, humanoid shape that seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. It wasn't just darkness, it had form, twisted, humanoid, with black, pitiless eyes. Daniel was paralyzed. He couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't do anything but stare in horror as the shadow loomed closer. He blinked, and it was gone. The room was empty, the whispers silenced, but the terror remained. Daniel lay awake for the rest of the night, his mind racing with questions and fears. Weeks passed, whispers grew louder, and the shadow seemed ever present. It was always there, lurking in the corners of his vision, a constant reminder of the darkness that had invaded his life. Daniel tried to ignore it, to go about his daily routine, but the fear was always there, gnawing at the edges of his sanity. Desperate, he decided to leave. He couldn't take it anymore. The whispers, the shadow, the constant feeling of being watched, it was too much. He packed his bags, determined to find a new place to live, somewhere far away from the nightmare that his apartment had become. But as he reached the door, the lights flickered, the air grew cold, and the whispers returned, louder and more menacing than ever. Daniel's heart pounded in his chest as he fumbled with the lock, desperate to escape. The shadow stood inches away. "You can't leave." The words were clear, spoken in a voice that was both familiar and alien. Daniel froze, his mind racing with fear and confusion. How could this be happening? What did the shadow want from him? The lights went out, and Daniel was never seen again. The apartment remained empty, a silent witness to the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. The whispers continued, a haunting reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the edge of reality. And so, the mystery of Daniel's disappearance became just another unsolved case, a chilling tale that would be whispered about for years to come.